Hello and welcome to the Fish House Nation podcast. Today we have our guest here, Mike Olson from Fish Addictions TV and Fish Addictions podcast, Real Talk. Welcome to the Fish House Nation, Mike.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to be here.
I reached out to you after watching one of your latest episodes on the video podcast. It was titled Going to War. And that show, you guys went on a few rants in that show. The main one was against internet trolls. What's been the feedback from that show?
Nothing but positive. I never realized that you'd get that much backing. And it's one of those topics where a guy in my position kind of shies away from, doesn't really want to get involved in. But, man, I love this sport more than anything. This is my biggest passion in life is fishing. And so it's disheartening to see some of the stuff that's going on out there. And a guy in my position, it's time to start maybe speaking up a little bit about it. Is kind of where I was coming from.
Yeah, why do you think it's important to kind of speak out after that? I mean, why is it important that some of these guys kind of get shown the door when they do what they do?
Chris, a lot of people have heard my story, but my story started with Internet Warriors. Fish addiction started. That was the whole thing that started me. I caught a fish of a lifetime. To make a long story short, I caught a fish of a lifetime. I put it on a form. I got, just torn apart, and it was all like over nothing. It was a fish that I'd caught, the biggest walleye to date at the time. Put it on a form. I was on cloud 9, and it's so fast. I came down to feeling like I did something wrong, and all I did was catch the biggest walleye of my life, and that was the moment when I decided I was going to try to make a change. And for 8 years now with fish addictions, I've silently been fighting the battle. But I think it's time to get other guys like yourself and myself and other guys that have a voice in fishing to really stand up and be like, hey, there is an issue. This is a problem, and this is a sport we all love. You're doing what you do because you love it. I do what I do because I love it and I have a passion for it and I really care about the industry. And so it's just time. It's time to hopefully, if I have a voice, I can convince other people that have a voice to jump on and have that same voice.
You just talked about why you do what you do and why I do what I do. What do you think? Why do you think they do what they do? What do you think that they're getting out of it? What's kind of their goal in doing what they do and making people feel bad about what they catch or feel bad about how they're fishing or what they're doing?
I hate to just go right out and say it, but jealousy is probably a big thing. Another thing is maybe they're not getting out as much as they would like to get out. Another thing would be, it's speculation. I have no idea. I think the biggest thing is they feel very comfortable behind a screen and they don't want people to feel better than they do. It's the simple bullying is what's basically going on, and my thought about fishing and how I approach things is if we can't better a person, because I'm doing what I'm doing, Fish Addictions TV, to try to educate and try to, help people be a better fisherman, trying to show people the sportsmanship of fishermen. I'm not perfect either by any means, but we're trying to grow this sport, and we have a really great opportunity to do that. And so many people have come to me and said, well, I didn't post a picture here or there because I was just afraid what somebody would say, or I actually had one guy reach out to me after the podcast and be like, man, my son caught his first fish through the ice last week and I didn't post a picture. I was the most proud I've ever been as a dad and as a fisherman that I passed this on to my son. 5 years ago, I would have posted this up and said, this is my kid's first fish through the ice. I was so afraid of the backlash. That's wrong. That's why I'm doing it, and I would say that honestly, Chris, that I've had since that podcast, I've been on 3-4 different podcasts talking about it since. I've probably gotten well over 100 messages of people saying, way to go. Holy crap. I agree with everything you're saying. I'm glad somebody's finally saying something. And it's one of those subjects that, especially somebody in our, with somebody that maybe has a voice, is always kind of avoided, just because we didn't know how it was going to be received. I didn't know how it was going to be received when I decided it's time to speak up about it. And it's been all positive for the most part. Maybe one person that said I should mind my own business, but whatever. I mean, that's part of it. And I've had a lot of people reach out and say, keep your head up. And I just want to be clear with people. This isn't about people badgering on me and what I do. I know with what I do with Fish Addictions TV and with the podcast and stuff, I open myself up to criticism. I'm fine with that. That's fine. I want to preserve this sport because I have kids and I hope my kids love it. I hope their kids love it. And if it goes in the direction that it's going now, it's just not going to be something that people are going to love as much as I do, as much as you do, as much as the guys I fish with do, and people may think that's stupid, but it's not. I can see it. I hear it. And we get to hear a lot of things of how people are feeling. And yeah, there's more people joining the sport than ever. And that's going to have more of these questions that these guys hate to hear. These guys that are internet warriors are guys that have been on these pages forever. And yes, I'm just as at fault of seeing the Markham versus Vexlar question. But I have to assume every time that these people are honestly asking this question, right? I mean, that's what these were created for in the first place.
Yep. The questions. And I want to get to that in a second. But before we get there, what I'd really like to ask you, though, is we're talking about, what we're doing, and we're talking about it and kind of bringing it to light. And I know Andy and the crew over there at IFM and the other guys out there, they're running these pages, are doing the best that they can to clean this stuff. But what can the average person who's on these forums or checking them out, what can they do to kind of help this?
I mean, honestly, like, it's as simple as, if a question gets asked, we'll just throw out there. I deal with Eskimo products. If a question gets asked about a particular house, we're not calling this how and being like, that house sucks, get this. That wasn't the question that was asked. The question was asked is, what do you guys think about, we'll just say the Eskimo 2800, the Escape 2800. So if you don't have experience with the Eskimo 2800, be quiet. Don't talk about it. Don't come back. Especially don't give us a comment like Eskimo sucks, because in most cases they don't even have experience with what this person's asking about. I go through these, I read them. I don't answer anything that I don't have experience with. If I've never used the product, if I don't have something constructive to say about the question that that person has asked, I'm definitely not going to come back and be like, oh, Eskimo sucks, get an otter. That's the dumbest thing. That's the thing where everybody rolls their eyes. And that's really the biggest problem, is the fact that, I get it. You like your otter. Great. That's awesome. But that doesn't mean that Eskimo sucks. That doesn't mean clam sucks. That doesn't mean that all these products suck. Us as consumers these days, like, we're literally in the best situation we've ever been in, because we as consumers demand good product. And if they are not giving us good product, they will weed themselves out. And so us as consumers, if we demand it, we get it. And I'm honestly, like, the product that's out there today is amazing. Every company has their strong points. Every company is really, honestly, all in all good. It's the Ford Chevy, deal all the time. The Ford Chevy Dodge. Obviously, we all have our favorites, and we have our favorites for a reason, but that doesn't mean the other one sucks. It doesn't mean we have to downgrade that person's decision and what they made. It doesn't mean that the fish they caught, if they say it's 14 inches and you think it looks 12 and a half, we all know that you don't know that. You weren't there, for God's sakes. And who cares if they post that it's 14 inches and it's really 13 and a half? Does that really make your day worse? Do you really have to downgrade that person? Because in my case, I caught a 29.5-inch walleye and I got degraded all the way through. And I honestly felt like I did something wrong by posting that picture. I was the one that was in the boat and had it on the ruler. So,
yeah. And I think that's another thing, you've got the fanboys out there, and it's okay. To me, it's like, if you're a big fan of a K-drill compared to the Strike Master or to the pistol bit, and you want to talk about the great experience you've had with that, that's fine. But if you haven't used the other one, Well, then just tell me about the great experience you had with what you have, and don't tell me
Right.
how crappy that one is, even though you've never used it.
Well, and I'm not saying don't answer the question if you disagree, right? But answer it constructively. I mean, you can say that, hey, I haven't had any experience with that product, but I really like the product that's very similar to what you have. Not that sucks.
Right.
That doesn't help anybody.
Sure. Let's talk about, and you brought it up a little bit earlier, your show, Fish Addictions. You guys are in your seventh season. Tell us a little bit about how that got started. Yeah, I know you kind of said you started with this walleye, but a lot of people catch big fish and it doesn't turn into a show. So
Right.
how did that
How
get there?
how it started with the walleye, and I decided that I was going to create a family, a fishing community that was more positive, like let's celebrate our big catches, let's celebrate our achievements. And it started out as a forum, but really, to be honest, I got into the forum world right as it was dying. So Fish Addictions was a forum. It was Fish Addictions Forum. It lasted about a year. And then I obviously realized that the forum stuff, uh, Fishing Buddy and all that stuff were the big ones at the time, and everything was dying. And I was like, well, I really like sharing my experiences. How can I do this? So we started, a good buddy of mine and I started filming ourselves and just having fun with it, which kind of honestly morphed into what we're doing today. We're on our seventh season of doing Fish Addictions TV, and we're just having fun with, we're just having fun with it. Our whole thing is about showing people that fishing is fun. No matter what you're doing, we're out there on the ice, laughing, having a good time, catching some fish. Our goal is to be a little entertaining and have some education at the same time, while we get to travel around and do what we love to do. And we're just blessed that we have people that enjoy following what we do, and day in and day out. And it's been a really fun ride, and it's really about the sport. It's about growing the sport. It's about trying to set an example for people out there, that this sport is something I'm super passionate about, and everybody involved with Fish Addictions is passionate about.
What do you think sets Fish Addictions apart from other shows?
Man, we're just out there. We truly show the fun aspect of fishing. I think that we're truly out there pushing ourselves and having fun doing it. This isn't a job to any of us. Like I said, told you before we started, I've been sleeping in this fish house for 15 out of the last 19 days, and I've enjoyed every second of it. Do I want to go home? I got kids. I Zoom. I love that, but I have I think what sets us apart is that we're just a bunch of guys. We don't think we're better than anybody. We don't think we know more than everybody. We get to experience a lot of cool things, and we just love sharing those experiences with people. And we hope that people out there, we want to go experience what we're experiencing. We're so blessed. We get to experience a lot of once in a lifetime things throughout the course of a year. And yeah, I mean, we're really just a group of guys that just love to have fun. That's what it's all about for us. And learn. I mean, we learn every day. We push ourselves to different limits. We do different things, and a well-rounded angler, we can learn from anybody, and that's one thing I've definitely learned doing this.
What's the toughest part of doing this?
Probably being away from family, and I've got 4 kids and a wife at home, and not that I don't see them and talk to them with technology. I mean, I get to Zoom with them and do all that, and FaceTime and all that kind of stuff with them. But it's juggling family life and your passion at the same time. And I think everybody struggles with that in some way, shape, form. We all have our own struggles. But I've got their support throughout this whole thing. I promised my wife that when this wasn't fun, I would quit doing it. That was kind of the promise we made to each other is, yeah, go follow your dream. But if it's not fun anymore, don't force it. So that's what we're doing. We're just traveling around, having a lot of fun, meeting a lot of friends, a lot of fans, just making a ton of friends. And that's what it's all about. That's what fishing is about for us, is making
Yeah.
friends, creating experiences.
That was my next question. What's the most rewarding part of doing this show for you?
For sure, it's fun to be at a gas station filling up and some guy comes up and says, I really like what you're doing. I really love how you guys showcase the fun of fishing and how maybe that was lost. And that's kind of what how I decided to do the show was is like I think there's great shows out there, in-depth outdoors, all those guys, they have great shows and some of my favorite shows, but maybe the fun aspect and the camaraderie aspect. And because man, I love to fish, but I don't like to fish alone. I want to have a buddy or two, and I want to show that that's still part of it. You don't got to go out and take it serious every single day. Like we go out to catch fish, don't get me wrong, but we just I just I want to fuel that passion for fishing. I want to bring the kids out into the outdoors and to fishing. I want to get the grown-ups out that are passionate about fishing, that maybe aren't passionate about fishing yet, but teach them, because in my eyes, if I don't teach mom and dad, the kids are probably not going to follow through with it. So if we can get the whole family involved, that's the best thing.
Tell me about the transition of your show. You guys have been on Fox Sports Net, and now you're kind of more focused on the distribution on YouTube. You've taken the show off of FSN. Tell me about how that transition happened and kind of what went into that decision.
Oh man, that was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. We've been on Fox Sports North for years now, and it's been great to us. Don't get me wrong, but things in today's world are transitioning more to online. They're transitioning more to right now access. If I want to watch it, there it is. And we've always done the YouTube thing, but we've really just wanted to open up what we can do. And with Fox Sports North, we always felt like we were tied down a little bit. We really couldn't do a lot of things just because of the way it was all done. So we decided to do platforms like Carbon TV, Waypoint TV, Outdoor Action TV, Hulu, Roku, all that kind of stuff. So we're on all those internet platforms, including YouTube, which is our main focus, and just putting out a lot of content. It doesn't have to be a half-hour long show. It can be 10 minutes if that's what we want it to be. It can be a half hour. It can be 3 hours if that's what we want it to be. We just didn't want to be restricted anymore to what we were doing, because there's so much going on and there's so many things that we want to do. And, so far we've grown leaps and bounds with this decision, and I'm super happy with the decision, but it was still one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, because as a kid growing up, Fox Sports North was the deal. That was where you wanted to be. And then it wasn't long after that we got on Fox Sports North that I knew that probably wasn't the right place to be in today's fishing world for what we were trying to accomplish. So it took quite a few years to get to that point, but I'm really happy with the decision we've made. We've been having a ton of fun this year. It's allowed us to do the podcast. It's allowed us to do these extra vlogs. It's allowed us to travel and make multi-series episodes. It's allowed us so many things that we just weren't able to do, with Fox Sports.
Yeah, there's a lot of cachet though to what they would say it's real TV. How have your partners reacted to the transition to go to the online instead of the FSN?
That was probably the biggest thing when I ended up making the decision. I made the decision based off of a few conversations I would have with partners that partner with fish addictions, but all of them were really excited for the plan. I had a very well placed out plan in place to do how we were going to distribute our content, how we were going to move forward, and having that in place, everybody really understood. And I'm the type of guy that's going to over deliver on things. And they knew that. A lot of these guys have worked with us for years. I don't feel like I've ever let them down. And it's just one of those things where they were all very supportive of it. And I think everybody's happy with the move. Fox Sports North, like I said, is kind of the mecca of our region. If you're an ice fisherman, you know about Fox Sports North. And not to take anything away from them, it just wasn't where we felt like at home, and I think we found our home and where we need to be with what we're doing now.
There's a lot of talented people who have kind of taken advantage of the YouTube thing, and they don't have those barriers. I mean, to be on Fox Sports North, it costs money. You got to buy your airtime. You got to go out and get partners to help you buy your airtime. You're seeing all these talented people now putting videos together and putting on YouTube because that barrier has been broken down for them.
Yeah.
What do you see as kind of the future of fishing shows? How do you see that evolving as more and more people are getting involved, and we're seeing people who probably would not have been able to put a fishing show together 15 years ago now are putting together some pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are no limits when you get to YouTube, right? If you can dream it, you can do it. I mean, obviously tastefully and respectfully and all that kind of stuff to the outdoors and everything like that. But if you want to do it, it's there for the taking, and it's not going to happen overnight. We've been doing this 8 years. It's not like we just made this decision to do it. And some of the other guys have been doing it longer than what people think. You know, your Aaron Weebs of the world and stuff like that. They've been doing it for a lot of years. I mean, and Jay Siemens and all those guys, they've been in doing it in their own aspects. Uh, it's changing obviously with everybody's. We're kind of a want it now type society, and maybe we don't want it at 10:30 on Sunday. Maybe we want it at Monday night at 10:30 at night when the wife is sleeping and you're laying in bed and don't know what to do, right? I mean, that everything that we're doing is kind of a want it now society. So we're trying to transform to when they feel like they want to watch Fish Addictions, they can get it at any time, at any point. And we're putting it out there on a lot of different online platforms. And I honestly feel like what we're doing is we're really paving the way for, I think we'll see a lot of guys doing what we were doing, move and transition into this. I know we will, because I've had a lot of outreach from other guys that were on TV doing that kind of stuff, and asking how it's going. They're really feeling it out, how we're approaching it, how we're doing it. And you know, we've Fish Addictions, I always felt, has been like we paved the way for a lot of different things in the industry, just like all the other guys doing it. And I think this is just nothing different. We just jumped a little sooner than everybody else.
Very cool. Mike, is there something that you wanted to talk about tonight that I didn't ask you?
No, man, when we talk about fishing and having fun, I mean, that's what it's all about. If you're out on the ice and you're thinking, what am I doing here? Then you should rethink what you're doing, because fishing's having fun. Either you're not with the right people, or you're just not doing what you really actually love to do. Fishing is a passion of mine, has been a passion of mine since I was real little. I had a grandfather that taught us the respect and everything about fishing that I know. And man, just get out there and enjoy what we have. It's not, you know, we're trying to preserve this sport that we all have a passion for. And I love hearing from people that reach out and just, you know, thank you for doing the things that you do. You know, that makes everything worth it. You know, I spoke out on our podcast, and I can't even imagine, I never imagined in a million years that I'd get the reach that I got from that, you know, and people really appreciate somebody having a voice for them. A lot of people actually felt like I was talking for them there, you know, and that was a really cool thing to know that. And I really haven't had any bad feedback from it. Go out and have fun. This is a sport we love. It's not about a competition. Don't go on these internet places, these internet pages, and trash talk people, because that's not going to bring our sport to the future. And that's what it really should all be about. Because if you're really passionate about it, you want to see the next generation succeed as well.
Mike, we talked about your YouTube channel, Fish Addictions TV. If people want to find you on social, where can they find you?
We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all of it. We're updating it all the time. You can find us at Fish Addictions TV. Our YouTube is constantly updated, but you know, we're big time into the Instagram and Fish Addictions Facebook page, constantly updating it all the time. If you want to get a hold of me personally, the Fish Addictions message us through Fish Addictions or Instagram. I'm the one personally messaging you back. It's going to be me every single time. So, I mean, I'm out there for anybody to get a hold of, and that's a lot of fun for me to interact with everybody out there.
Awesome. Mike, thanks so much for joining the show, and good luck the rest of your season out there filming. Hope you guys catch some big ones, put together some nice shows.
Thanks, Chris.